I'm Dan Stevens and I play Charles Condomine in Blithe Spirit. Blithe Spirit it's about, well, from my point of view, it's about a writer struggling with writer's block whose first wife passed away 7 years ago. He gets the idea to involve a sort of psychic medium in a story that he's writing, so he does a bit of research, invites her to perform a séance at his house, involving his second wife, Ruth, and they inadvertently conjure the spirit of his first wife, Elvira, who shows up, and yeah, mayhem ensues. I have read the Noël Coward play. I've never been in it, but I have done a couple of other Noël Coward plays when I was starting out in theatre, and I've always really liked it. It's a very particular style, and I don't know, there's a particular kind of music to the way that Coward writes that's I've always found really, really funny, and it's really cool to sort of bring it into the 21st century in a very sort of comedic form, and be quite big and silly with it all. Well, initially all play-to-screen adaptations look like very much like the play when you first read it in screenplay form, and it's really about sort of chipping away the theatrical bits that don't quite work, and I guess, yeah, sort of being respectful to the original material and the original story, which is very funny, but being a little bit looser with some of the dialogue and trimming it here and there so that it fits in modern mouths, I guess, and also fits in modern audiences' ears, which is a tricky thing because a lot of the humour and the comedy comes from how wordy and quick-witted it is, which is not always the same thing as a sort of modern comedy. So it's about marrying those two things. But we're in very good comedic hands with, obviously, with Dame Judi Dench, but also Isla Fisher and Leslie Mann, who are, you know, really very well versed in comedic performances, and so it's been great to sort of introduce this kind of material to actresses like that and comedians like that who've never been given the chance to do anything set in the 30s before, but have that the comedic touch, which is more important, I think, for something like this. It's a sort of a whole world of mayhem, really. Elvira's not aware that she's dead initially, and she was very much well, not just the muse. It seems like she actually wrote half of his books and came up with all of the good stuff. So, you know, Charles was very reliant on Elvira for his creative output, and since she's died, that's rather dried up. And so her coming back is great in one sense, in that he's able to complete this current writing project that he's got. And Ruth, being the understanding woman that she is, knows that, but is also quite jealous, and so it becomes a sort of mad supernatural love triangle, you know, where both his wives are still sort of in existence. And I suppose in a long lens, it's about grief and not being able to let go of the memory of somebody. But in practicality, it's this sort of, you know, it borders on farce, really, where you've got one character who can see both women, but one of the women can't see the other, and so it's been interesting, you know, how you shoot that and how you get the comedy out of that visually. So Isla plays Ruth, my second wife, who is long-suffering, very understanding. Her father is a famous film producer, so that's very interesting to Charles, and they're having a bit of a tough time because Charles is so creatively blocked. Things aren't happening in the bedroom either, and the re-emergence of Elvira, who's cast a bit of a shadow over this marriage anyway, but the actual sort of reappearance of her causes some problems and really stretches Ruth's understanding to its limits. It's a very fun gang. We've got a really fun group of people. So there's Isla and Leslie, both come over from LA. Julian Rhine-Tutt and Emilia Fox, who are more native born, and of course Judi Dench. So it's a really lovely gang, yeah, finding the comedy in the sort of period is quite it's quite a fun challenge. But yeah, everyone's a good giggle. I was drawn to it because I've always really wanted to see a good adaptation of Coward. I think it's really funny stuff. It's very tricky to do in the theatre. It's, you know, it's very fast, very wordy, and obviously you don't have to remember all the words to the whole piece, unlike, you know, when you do a play. But finding that tone and finding the comedic beats in the sort of movie terms is quite a different challenge. But it's fun to give a slightly kind of modern comedic edge to some really classic and very funny stuff. Working with Ed has been great. He's obviously from a theatre background, but you know, he's done a lot of screen stuff now, and so he's very much on top of marrying the theatrical comedy with the movie comedy of it all. And yeah, he's very sensitive to, you know, wanting it to be broad and funny, as well as, you know, being respectful to Coward and the, you know, the original characters in the story. So it's a real treat to get to see him do his thing. I think people coming to see this film can expect a good laugh. You know, they're in very good comedic hands, and it's a very, very funny premise, and it's yeah, it's good old British silly mayhem.